The Universe Mode and Creation Suite Ringside Report has just dropped, and it's given us even more big updates that we have not previously been told over the past week. So let's go ahead and check out all the news. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my Discord link in the description below. Okay, so right off the bat, we have the player edit screen for the superstars. It's very similar to last year's, just different look for the UI. Very nice and clean. Love to see that. Something I want to take a note of right here is look at this. Becky Lynch, 2 different attires. I assume we're going to have different ways to set different attires, whether it be promos, matches, PLEs. I'm hoping that is the case. We've been asking for it, and we'll find out hopefully in a couple minutes. And then here's the first quick promo option. It's the same one we've already had. There's a bunch of new options that I assume they'll go over very shortly. And here we go. Here is the draft. This is how it looks. When you head into it, obviously we already knew it, both GMs. And going back to that real quick, it looks like it's a very similar screen to the My GM, except they took away some of the stuff, but it tells us right here the overalls, which is nice. It also tells us that it's a face or a heel. And then also the divisions, which is very cool. And then you can see a reserve list. I'm not quite sure what the reserve list is going to be, but also it's nice you can sort here between men, women, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, teams, champions, which is very nice to see. And also we get a little pop-up screen, very nice and clean, similar to the My GM one. And then here's the settings. We knew this was coming. This is how you set up your draft, you set up the days of the week, you set up the participating shows, supplemental shows, draft rounds, and max draft picks. So obviously the draft round 6, you would think maybe it's 12 or 6 picks, but also remember you can do tag teams, you can draft teams as well. So each round, you're not necessarily going to draft one superstar, it could be 2, it could be 3, 4, 5, depending on who you really go ahead and pick, which makes a whole lot of sense there. You can even set a logo for the draft. That's pretty sick, I'm not going to lie. And then also more of the settings. This is where you can set your champion picks. Do you want champions to be drafted or not? Team picks. How many picks can you select teams on? Splitting up teams. Can you select free agents, legends? Those kinds of things. Those parts we already knew. It's very nice to see how clean the setup is to really change these settings and how really easy it is for us users to go ahead and change. And now we have the watch show mode. Unfortunately, in this little ringside report, they didn't show us any of the presentation side of things that they talked about for the watch show mode. Unfortunately, they just go on to talk about how you can just seamlessly go match by match, segment by segment. Pretty cool, but would have loved to see some of that presentation, things that were discussed in yesterday's couple of interviews that were published. Okay, now here we have the Universe Wizard setup. This is great. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. This is great for people that already play Universe Mode. It feels a little awkward to have to set up your Universe Mode after that first week is already kind of booked. So this makes it even better to set it up beforehand, but it's also much better for new users and trying to grow the Universe Mode community, because it can be very daunting to set up your Universe Mode for a new player and have the first week generated, but not having made any changes yourself. It makes it feel kind of lost for newer players, so I get that. So I think this is a great addition because it really allows you to go ahead and make those changes first to make sure you're not feel lost, like picking your shows, changing your PLEs, importing, shows and PLEs. That's a great addition because I think this is mostly a thing for newer players, and I think that's great because as a really channel that focuses on Universe Mode the most, I want as many people to be involved in the mode, really grow the mode. So I think newer users need this better, easier UI to start the Universe Mode so they don't feel lost heading into it for the first time. Okay, now we have sliders for matchmaking for the AI. They don't really go into detail exactly what all this means. They just applies value. So if you increase the value, I would assume it means it's more likely to be main eventing shows and opening shows, because those are the 2 biggest matches. You want to open the show hot and close the show hot. So I assume that's what it means, but I could be wrong. It could just mean the higher you increase these, the more likely these types of matches or these types of superstars will be on the show, right? So highest overall bonus, I would assume that means if you increase that, it's either higher overalls will be in the main event and opening matches, the most important ones, or it could just mean that higher overalls will generally be on the show. I don't know. They don't go into really detail here about that. They just talk about how you can change that for matchmaking. And also for titles, I don't know if this is going to be for only PLEs. I would assume this is also for Raw and SmackDown as well when you change the matchmaking process. But I would assume this is for both PLEs and weekly shows, which I think is great, honestly. Whether this is a way to set kind of where certain matches are placed on the card or what matches are just generally placed anywhere on the card, I think this is great because we should have more control over, how the AI is booking your Universe Mode. Because at the end of the day, I run 2 Universe Modes. I like the side of booking everything manually and touching everything. But the same side, At the same time, I really want to have a universe mode also where I could just play and not really have to worry about booking everything, having a hands-on approach to everything, just playing out stories rather than booking every little detail. So to be able to edit these and change up how the match card is created from the AI, I think is great, because that makes it a whole lot easier on me to not have to book everything and just play out fun stories based on kind of settings that I want to fine-tune, but not have to have a hands-on approach every single week. And then same thing goes here for rivalries. I would assume this really just means which rivalries are going to play out more. Is it going to be high, medium, very high, low, those kinds of things? Which ones are going to be on your shows the most? Which ones are going to play out to that level the most? I'm hoping that's the case. Okay, so we have a lot of team stuff here. It seems they put more weight into allowing users to be able to edit team entrances. That's been an issue in the past. Like, I believe it was the Judgment Day last year, whereas if you edited the team entrance at all or edited the faction at all, it broke the entrance. So based on how they're really pushing these team motions, I would assume that they're really cleaning that up, fixing that, making it better to create your own factions, which for me is a big dub. And this is a huge one for me. So I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot of weight when it comes to talking to devs or whatever, but I did have one interaction pretty early in the 2K25 cycle last year on Twitter, where I quickly sent him a DM like, yo, we need more title slots. And one big issue is not just more title slots. If you look at the bottom here, the 2 Money in the Banks, you could only previously use only 1 Money in the Bank briefcase on a show. Even if you took away a slot, let's say you took away the WWE title from Kevin Owens, you couldn't make that open slot a second Money in the Bank. And thankfully, I'm not saying that me saying this has changed this for 2K26, but the devs saw this and were like, yo, this is correct. This needs to be changed. There needs to be not just more title slots, but also in real life, we've had multiple Money in the Bank winners on one show. That needs to be added to 2K26, and they did it, which is a big dub because it makes universe mode a lot more realistic and overall a lot more fun. And this right here is big. I talked about before, we now can change attires. We have different attires for weekly shows, PLEs, promos. This is phenomenal. We've all been asking for it because last year it felt so weird having promos where everyone's just in their ring attire when in real life you get, that street attire during a bunch of promos. So to be able to have that now, to have specific promos, to have specific attire for promos, specific regular attires for just weekly shows, and you can set special attires for big PLEs. It makes it much more realistic and really makes it a lot more fun and unique when you can have special attires for certain situations. So I'm very excited that this makes universe mode that much better, with just a little bit of a somewhat smaller detail. And now we have the new promos. I'm excited for this. We saw some new ones being talked about yesterday in some interviews. I'm excited. And this right here is the first one. So this is a self promo. This is pretty much somewhat similar to what we had last year, but the time to talk about my future, I think, is a different aspect to it. Because this is what it means. You can now have the face and heel turns. You were all trash. That's a heel turn, obviously. It's time after a new championship. That's a different direction. Maybe a new goal, that kind of thing. Moving on to a new show. Obviously, if a superstar is not having a good time on Raw, they can move to SmackDown. This is huge because I've been huge on talking about wanting superstars to be somewhat driven with a goal system. Because we did have that back in like 2K18, I want to say there was a goal system where each superstar had a goal and you can change them. That doesn't seem to be brought back. However, it's somewhat implemented with these promos because having this new self-promo option play out, it can change up pretty much their goal. Because if you go after a new title, it means you're changing your division. It's essentially a new goal. Moving to a new show, essentially a new goal, that kind of thing. Heel turn isn't necessarily a goal, but it's a career-driven change, and that is huge because at the end of the day, we're still not getting a full change to the system and getting new stories that play out like we used to have in 11, 12, 13, where we had actual stories play out. But these are sort of story beats that can create, just new storylines that aren't actually official storylines, but just new story beats that can play out in your universe mode just from a single promo, which I think is very fun and very realistic, and I'm really excited for. Okay, so we have new call-out options, where in this example, you can actually call out your opponents, not just to a match, but also to a specific stipulation, which I think is huge, and they make it very simple. It brings up a list right there on the spot. So simple, so clean. And this is big. New Money in the Bank cash-ins. This was talked about previously yesterday in some interviews. Now, you already have the options for rivalry actions, but now they implemented the ability So anytime a champion's in a match, there will eventually be a pop-up where you can hit a button combo and your Money in the Bank holder will come out and cash in on the spot, which makes it so much better. Because before, it was kind of a hassle to have to pre-plan everything. At the end of the day, if you just want to play your universe mode and not have to book everything, every little detail of it, and you're one of those people that wants to play stories and not have a full-on hands-on approach, then this is better for you because now you don't have to think ahead. You can just, on the spot, if you feel like having a cash-in, you can have the cash-in. So I think it's a great change. It goes back to what we had prior, because this used to be, I think 2K22 was the last time we had this kind of option. Maybe it was 2K23. But the last couple of years, we definitely had that taken away. So I'm really glad it is back. So right now, Universe Mode already is looking pretty solid yesterday with what we found out. But today, even more information I'm very excited about. Let me know if you guys are excited about these changes. Make sure to like, subscribe, and also check out my Discord, link in the description. I just put it out there for the first time yesterday. The Discord is now open, and I'll see you guys next time.